Feature of the Karmic period from April 17th to May 20th, 2026. This is necessary to know. In April-May 2026, the Karmic mystery, which began in the new solar year, will continue, which we already talked about in the last video. The new period of development of humanity in the digital age will increasingly affirm new meanings, so that humanity can generally survive in such a difficult period of its development. Right now, the 8-year cycle of liberation of values from the viruses of materiality is ending, and a new 2-year cycle opens in which humanity will learn to realize that the soul, its living feelings, and its true nature are higher than the material. And if you take a close look at everything that's going on in the world right now, you might feel that humanity has earned quite the training for the next 2 years. Moreover, it is in this month that humanity also enters the most important 84-year period, a period of reawareness of what really belongs to a person and what is just an illusion of ownership. The entire period from April 17th to May 20th, 2026 is very important for everyone. But the days of April 17th and 24th are especially important when the temporary and semantic Veda portals of fate will be opened. This entire period will take place in energies that change the attitude of humanity to matter. People will experience the great initiation of the spiritualization of matter carried out by the higher powers, an awareness of how alive everything around us is. For souls who have already embarked on the path of conscious nobility of the soul, this can become a time of amazing discoveries, bright ideas, and filling with life-giving powerful energy. But for those who are not yet ready to fit into a new stage of human development, this period will also become an initiation. However, for them it can be quite painful through world crises, aggravation of international conflicts, financial turmoil, and instability in personal relationships. And this will concern both shocks at the level of an individual and at the level of countries, as communities of individuals. Karmic hierarchs will do this for the sake of bringing souls, both individual and collective, to the awakening of consciousness, to a change in the understanding of life and living matter as such. For unconscious souls, shocks and crises will be necessary in order to change their previous attitude towards stability and lead to an understanding that stability in its previous understanding in the age of artificial intelligence becomes destructive for the soul. Humanity needs to develop a new value attitude towards what will become the core of its life. It is necessary to move from the search for stability in the material to the search for the inner core in one's own nobility of the soul, capable of spiritualizing the material with love and creativity. During this period, the material world awakens and becomes spiritualized. And such a mystery requires completely new values and renewed souls. Therefore, for everyone during this period, and especially for still unprepared souls, it is very important to do supportive practices and pray correctly. That is why for 3 days in a row, from April 17th to April 19th, at 2200 hours Moscow and Kiev time, our channel will host free live 1-hour broadcasts with supporting practices. These practices will be able to support you throughout the next months and, in principle, can become your further support in the new age. Throughout the period from April 17th to May 21st, 2026, you may feel emotionally lost. This is not something to be afraid of. Try to live it consciously. Many people will have this condition. This may be a sign that the karmic hierarchs have already brought you out of the old, completed period into the new, but you still do not understand how to live in it. However, practices and prayers from the masters and guardians of the rit'am school will definitely help you go through this transition more smoothly and consciously. It is also important to understand During this period, any crisis or shock, small or large, in the fate of a person or in the fate of entire countries, will occur precisely where there is the least honesty before one's individual or collective soul, where a person lies to himself the most, where an entire people is stuck in outdated illusions. It is there that purification through crisis will take place. If you remember this, it will become easier for you to analyze both the events of your own life and world processes. But the main thing here is calm awareness and honesty. The new epoch requires a new humanity, one that will seek value not in objects, but in knowledge, skills, and a sense of inner dignity. And in order to lead to this, financial and political stability will be increasingly shaken. Long-standing programs such as hoarding, power control, and possessiveness will be gradually nullified through increasingly digitized finance, through changes in the labor market, through price surges, through the rapid destruction of outdated values based only on profitability and hoarding. What was once perceived as stability will continue to wobble, no matter how rich or influential a person is by the old standards. Even at the level of physicality, this month you will be able to feel obvious changes, perhaps in taste habits, in motor reactions, in bodily sensations. Watch this. Allow the transformation to take place on the bodily level. Your body will also awaken from myths. For example, from the myth that aging is inevitable. Karmic hierarchs will increasingly bring humanity to the realization that aging is not just a natural process, but a disease that arises due to the inability to eat properly, feel, think, and interact with the laws of the world, especially the law of gravity, so that the natural regeneration of the body is ahead of and not behind the constant toxicity that occurs through nutrition, breathing, movement, and sensory mental processes. Of course, for now these sacraments will only be revealed to us a little, but already this month we will be able to begin to feel the wonderful revelations of our own body awakening from sleep. We will also talk about how to do this at our 3-day open seminar, which can be viewed in the recording via the link in the description. The main aspects and tasks of the soul for this period are to begin to change the old form of life and manifest these changes. It is very important to understand holding on to the old and familiar just because you once saw safety in it is no longer pointless. It is necessary to find such guidelines that give you a feeling of joy, fullness of energy, filling with light and happiness, and make you truly alive. And at the same time, you should feel that your self-respect and respect for others are growing, that your heart is filled with nobility, that you no longer need to make deals with your conscience for the sake of stability or position. And if the karmic hierarchs, according to the plan of the one creator, will knock out the usual stability from under people, more precisely, that in which people, by inertia, continue to look for it, then only so that people do not cut off their paths to renewal and spiritualization. The main task of these few weeks is to discover your new path, and, in fact, it will be opened automatically to those who pass the tests of this time correctly. This will help. First, be completely honest with yourself. Let go of what is no longer alive, does not please, does not feel, but has simply become familiar and comfortable. Secondly, reconsider your attitude towards finances. Spend only on what is truly valuable and brings joy to your soul, and do not buy for the sake of trends. Thirdly, start investing in what is truly important, in yourself, in your knowledge, in your health. Fourthly, carefully reconsider your attitude towards your life's work, towards your work, towards what brings you income. If this is truly your business, start treating it with love and creativity. If you feel that it is not yours, reconsider everything. Perhaps it's time for a change. And if it is not yet possible to change the situation, then at least start approaching your work in a new way, bring creativity into it, realize what is the benefit of this work for your soul, what is your lesson, and try to spiritualize it. Fifthly, in relationships with people, reconsider your attachments and your environment. What no longer feels? What exists only out of inertia, out of fear of letting go, out of a desire to control, out of profit? All this requires change. But before you break off a relationship, think perhaps it is not the relationship itself that has become obsolete, but your old form of existence in it. Perhaps you don't need to remove the person from your life, but change the form of communication, introducing into it love, warmth, and respect, both for yourself and for others. Six, evaluate the awareness of your attitude to information. How useful is what you fill your mind with? Does it benefit you? Does it give knowledge? Does it make your soul more noble, deep, and wise? And seventh, ask yourself, how much responsibility do you really take for your life? How much do you understand that, first of all, the scenery of life is created by your soul, its level of awareness, purity, and wisdom? We will deeply explore all these questions at our 3-day seminar. Good luck to you in this period and in your future new life. And in conclusion, we give you a prayer that will definitely support you during this period and at any time when you need a conscious look at yourself. Text of prayer. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincere, devoted, and loving child of yours, I ask you to guide me to understand what it is time to change in my life, so that it pleases and fills my soul with kindness and wisdom, helps me live beautifully and harmoniously, and pleases you. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincerely devoted and loving child of yours, I ask you to help me understand what I need to change in my relationships with people so that these relationships are renewed, become more harmonious, lively, sincere, noble, and warm, and delight you. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincere, devoted, and loving child of yours, I ask you to guide me to the correct attitude towards finances so that my soul is free from the impulses of waste and extravagance, so that it remains clean from greed and hoarding, and so that my attitude towards money is harmonious and pleases you. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincerely devoted and loving child of yours, I ask you to help me form the right attitude towards my work, towards what brings me income, so that I treat my business in such a way that it benefits my soul and pleases you. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincerely devoted and loving child of yours, I ask you to help me form a conscious attitude towards the information that I perceive, so that I can choose information that is useful for the soul, bringing knowledge, harmony, and wisdom into my life, and so that thanks to this I can please you more. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincerely devoted and loving child of yours, I ask you to help me in developing a responsible and adult attitude towards my destiny, towards myself, towards my life path as your lesson of love, in order to be conscious and harmonious in the processes of my life and to please you. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincerely devoted and loving child, I ask for your help and support in order for my heart to be filled with the truth of divine love and wisdom. May your holy will be done for everything, our one Creator, Heavenly Father. And we also want to once again repeat the generally important prayer for the 2026 solar year, which can be read every day, and it is better to read it at the beginning, before our other prayers this year, as a strengthening of your appeal to the One Creator. Text of prayer. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincere, devoted, and loving child of yours, I ask you to help me understand what other illusory values I accept as real, where my soul is still mistaken, taken for love and nobility what is not such. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincerely devoted and loving child of yours, I ask you to help me cleanse myself of everything false, of everything that was imposed by the manipulations of people. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincerely devoted and loving child, I ask for your help and support in order for my heart to be filled with the truth of divine love and wisdom. One Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincerely devoted and loving child of yours, I ask you to help me understand and realize what kind of person, according to your holy plan, I am to become in the new cycle of human civilization from March 2026, so as to please you, one Creator, our Heavenly Father, as a sincerely devoted and loving child of yours. I ask you for help and support in awakening in me the light noble power, which will help fulfill my brightest noble destination according to your holy will in the new golden mature age from the spring of 2026, so as to please you, our one Heavenly Father. May your holy will be done for everything, our one Creator, Heavenly Father. Amen.